fellow football nerds, for episode 216 of Chalk Talk. I'm your host, Shane Haff, and you can follow me on Twitter at ShaneHaffNFL. And I'm joined today by the best co-host in the game. You have heard him on the Saturday morning spread right here on the Eagles Pinpool Network. It is Mark Henry Jr. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mark Henry Jr. NFL. Mark, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing okay. My last travel week here until I think the week between the divisional round and the conference championship. So you'll be hearing me back in my home base on my laptop and microphone quite soon. I had some technical difficulties down here in Duval. So we'll be on the phone and the headphones here today, but back to normal next week and going forward.
Yeah, hopefully the audio will be okay when we get it out to audio platforms. It might be a little rougher for the live listeners, but we'll make do with what we can. And we are starting a little later because of some technical difficulties, and there's no buys this week. So we're going to fly through some of these games because there's some really good games we want to talk about. And I'm already trying to fight off a yawn. So we're going to see where this show takes us. And Mark, we'll start off with Thursday Night Football. Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Atlanta wins 29-28. The Falcons trailed by 14 points with under 2 minutes remaining. And they score a touchdown. They go for two and they fail. They get an interception, score a touchdown, fail another 2-point conversion. So they're still down 2. And then they force a punt and they hit a game-winning field goal as time expires. Kyle Pitts just wrecking fantasy playoffs everywhere with 11 catches for 166 yards and 3 touchdowns, all career highs for him. And the Falcons did this despite being flagged 19 times in this game. I guess the lone bright spot for the Bucs is Mike Evans going 6 for 132 in his return. But overall, I mean, this is just an unbelievable collapse by the Bucs. They were 5-1. Now they're 7-7. To lose this game, they play the Panthers twice in the final 3 weeks, which will determine who wins the division. But I remember when we were talking about this team back in like week 4, 5, and 6 about just how unbelievable their games were, and everything's gone off the rails for Tampa.
I mean, nobody wants to win this division. We'll talk about the Carolina Panthers and what happened on Sunday, but it's got to be Tampa or it's got to be Carolina. They show you that it does not have to be them, I guess. But if you look at the math, it mathematically does have to be one of them at some point. And that'll be decided here over the last 3 weeks with them playing each other. By the way, I think we've both probably complained about this before, Shane, but it's absurd that there's teams that are playing each other 2 times in the final 3 weeks. The Commanders playing each other 2 times in the final 3 weeks. Bucks and the Panthers. And in this case for the NFL, yippity-doo, like, yippee, it worked out for you that Carolina and Tampa, these games are going to – but it's a joke that they're playing 2 games. It's a joke.
Yeah. I mean, not to go down the whole tangent, but like Eagles Commanders week 1, 2, or 3 with Jaden Daniels playing is a remarkably different game than what we're going to watch on Saturday night this week. So, yeah, I've said it multiple times. Give me a divisional matchup week 1, 2, and 3, and then week 16, 17, and 18. It's just the easiest way to do that. Get us a full strength game, and then we can play a whole season of, have they gotten better since they got beat in week 2, and you can find out in week 17. That's the way to go. But I've pitched that for years. NFL, call me. I'll set it up for you.
And by the way, I'll be hopping on my computer, which is now working for the next game here. So
all right.
That to do about nothing.
Awesome. I will get us started on that one while you switch over. We'll go to the Sunday slate. We have Cleveland at Chicago. Cleveland gets blown out in this game. Chicago wins 31-3. Here's a list of the Browns' possessions in this game. They go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. On their 4th drive, they did pick up 1 first down, and then they punted. And then they went 3 and out, 3 and out. 16-yard field goal drive. Interception, 3 and out, interception, turnover on downs. Just an all-time awful performance. Shador Sanders was sacked 5 times in this game. He was picked off 3 times. He completed 51% of his passes. I will say Caleb Williams had a good game. He goes 17 to 28 for 242 and 2 touchdowns. He was particularly effective on play action passing, going 10 to 13 for 141 and 2 touchdowns. Mark, takeaways from Cleveland and Chicago.
Caleb makes big plays. I saw there was a lot of crazy stats out there about Caleb kind of being so inefficient, but then also being such a highlight factory. I think he might have even, does he lead the NFL in big time throws, maybe is what I saw. And then like has like a bottom 5 completion percentage. So Caleb, I mean, this is like, I mean, we've said the same stuff about Caleb since he came out, and he does a lot of the easy stuff in a way that leaves you wanting and makes you wonder how an NFL quarterback could lack those skills. And then he makes some throws that you're like, oh my God. I mean, the one touchdown he threw in the back of the end zone is one of the tightest window throws you'll ever see made in an NFL game. And it's just, he makes the layups look hard and he makes the half court shots look easy.
Yeah. Yeah, someday maybe the layups get a little easier, and
that's what you gotta hope. Yeah,
could end up being a truly special quarterback class, given what we've seen from Drake May too, and if Jaden Daniels can stay healthy. But Brett Eclipse is asking about something about Shador Sanders with the wrong wristband. They gave him the wrong wristband of play calls to start the game. Have you heard about this, Mark?
I did hear about that. Somehow, I don't think that it was the wristband's fault.
Yeah, it's. All 3 interceptions came late in the game, for what it's worth. So,
yeah.
But yeah, just all-time inept organization.
And I said this last week, but we just to follow up on it to continue the thread. Quinshon Judkins, another incredibly inefficient game. He had 1.8 yards per carry. That's now, if you look at the last, just since the last 8 or 9 weeks. 3 yards per carry, 3.4, 2.1, 3.4, 3.5, 2.9, 4, and then 1.9 and 1.8. The first 4 weeks of the year, it was like, man, this draft class from the Browns looks incredible, and Judkins is a huge part of that. But now it's like maybe that wasn't a great use of a second-round pick for a team that is nowhere near contending. And now has a running back who doesn't even look as good as he was looking at the beginning of the year. And yeah, I think that was being celebrated as a pick. I think revisionist history now, maybe not so much. Yeah. Did they take him over Travion also?
I think Travion came first, but I can't
remember.
He did?
Okay. He might have.
Yeah, I'll look it up here in a minute. Let me get us started on the next game, and then I'll go look that one up. But Baltimore at Cincinnati. The Ravens win 24-0, and the Bengals' narrow path to the playoffs is now closed as they drop to 4-10, losing their second straight game with Joe Burrow under center. He threw 2 interceptions in this game as well, including a pick 6 where Kyle Van Noy got the interception and then handed it off to a defensive back. So I think this is the second straight game that Burrow's thrown a pick 6 as well. This was the first time the Bengals were shut out since week 1 of the 2017 season. And it's a good step for the Ravens defense to be able to do that because they've been really bad over the course of the season. They've got a tough schedule still. They have the Patriots, Packers, and Steelers in the final 3 weeks of the season, and they currently trail the Steelers by 1 game. So they play each other week 18. They go Patriots, Packers, and the Steelers go Lions, Browns. And so the Ravens need to match the Steelers' win total the next 2 weeks and then win that week 18 matchup to get into the playoffs, which probably means they're going to have to win out, but they might be able to get away with 1 loss in there. But they have a shot, and we'll see how that one plays out. What are your thoughts on this game?
There's a tweet out there from Stucky, who's a good gambling follow. If the Ravens, who, by the way, whose line is it anyway, Shane? New England at Baltimore. Do you know the line?
New England minus 2.5.
Baltimore minus 3.
That's crazy.
Vegas has no respect for New England. I mean, Buffalo was favored in New England last week, and Baltimore Vegas will not give up on Baltimore. They still viewed them the same way they viewed them coming into the year, as a full-blown contender. It's shocking to me, shocking line. But if the Ravens, who are favored, beat the Patriots, and the Lions, who are favored by 7 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I should have done whose Lions it anyway there as well. But
I bet they're favored by 7.
yeah, good call, right on. Week 17 becomes meaningless for both teams, and they could both rest starters actually to get ready for Week 18. It would be very funny if the 7-8 Ravens, or I guess would they be 8-7 actually? The 8-7 Ravens were resting starters, or whatever it is, 8-8 Ravens resting starters going into the last week of the year. I think that's very funny.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. To your question from earlier, it looks like Travion was selected after Quinshon Judkins. The Browns took Judkins at 36. Patriots took Travion at 38.
Not looking great. I think I had them next to each other. Literally not. I think I had them back to back, and I couldn't tell you who I had higher. I think I had Travion higher, so I can't talk too much crap about it. But Travion certainly looking like a stud right now. But anything in this game in terms of the Joe Burrow, Shane? Do you think? Do you make anything of these weird kind of comments? And is he slow playing an eventual trade request? Is he going to retire like Andrew Luck, or is he just kind of annoyed about a bad season?
I feel like he's probably just annoyed. I mean,
I kind of agree.
What the Bengals aren't going to trade him. They barely pay people. You're telling me they're going to take on a tremendous dead cap after paying the guy? I don't see it happening. I don't see how he could retire, but I think that's more likely than them trading him, and I don't think that's likely.
Yeah, maybe it's just him trying to get Zach Taylor fired. I don't know. I did see the stat floating. I believe it's 30. I froze there for a second. You got me?
Yep, you're good.
I'll rephrase the question. We can edit that out, I guess. But 32 games since I believe it's since the Super Bowl season. 32 games with Zach Taylor at the helm and Joe Burrow starting. What do you think the record is? The last 32.
32 games with Joe Burrow starting. You said?
Yeah.
I feel like they're probably, let's say, 16 and. Oh wait, what would that put them? 16 and 18.
17 and 15 in their last 32 games with Joe Burrow at the helm. Fire Zach Taylor into the sun.
Yeah. Mark, you might need to hop out and hop back in because it just popped up on my screen and said you're not being recorded anymore. Awesome technical stuff going on here today. But yeah, it's time. It's been time. But also, if Joe Burrow has to do anything more than walk into the owner's office and be like, hey, I think we should try a different head coach, then it's not a very good ownership group either, because it's been pretty obvious for a while to me that Zach Taylor isn't the answer, and I really don't feel like they should have, like, Joe Burrow shouldn't have to be jumping through hoops to get that to happen. So be interesting to see what the Bengals do, what their approach is this offseason. I mean, this season was largely lost before Burrow came back. I mean, it was such a narrow path to get to the playoffs once he came off of injury, but they're 1-2 since he's come back. So it's not just his injury that's complicating things here for the Bengals. So let's keep rolling on here. Let's go to the Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers win this game 16-13. They kicked a field goal to go up 16-13 at the end of the third quarter. And then Mahomes threw a pick in the red zone. And then the Chargers burned 7 minutes and 21 seconds off the clock, but they ultimately punted. and they pinned the Chiefs deep at their own 8-yard line with 5 minutes and 20 seconds left. And I feel like we have all seen this play out multiple times before. The Chiefs are going to go drive and win the game. And Mahomes started that drive. He gets him across midfield before being injured on what we now know is an ACL, and I believe I saw also an LCL tear. So Gardner Minshew came in. He completes a couple of passes, but then throws a pick that ends the game. And this will officially be the first time in over a decade that the Chiefs will miss the playoffs. 2014 is the last postseason that did not feature the Kansas City Chiefs. On the Chargers side of things, Justin Herbert has been sacked 11 times in the last 2 games. And he's playing with a surgically repaired fractured left hand. And yet the Chargers just keep winning. He was 19 of 29 in this game for 210 yards, 1 touchdown with an interception. Herbert has been sacked 4 or more times in 6 games this season. And so, and again, they've had numerous injuries on the offensive line, but I don't know how much longer Herbert can stand up to it, but he continues to do it, and they eliminate the Chiefs from the postseason. Mark, thoughts on Chargers-Chiefs?
Yeah, I think we'll have plenty of time to get into the Chargers. They're going to be in the playoffs and plenty of more games down the stretch that matter here for them and for other teams. But the Chiefs, this is their swan song of the season, and nothing they do the rest of the season really matters to the Chiefs season. So I think it's more interesting to talk about them. And there was a thread of in 2020 and 2021, Mahomes led the NFL in touchdown passes both years in touchdown passes by that were less than 2 yards. He had 10 touchdowns. He had 9 touchdowns and 10 touchdowns. Broke his record that he set the year before of the most touchdowns thrown inside the 2-yard line. And I watched there's someone who tweeted out a compilation of that. I can't remember who it was. And the plays are so creative, and guys are schemed open, and they're shovel passes that are easy and really easy scores. And there's a couple nice Mahomes plays in there for sure, but most of it is scheme dependent. And then it was a cut up of a lot of 3rd and 4th downs of this year in the red zone. And I think you can pretty much tie. I mean, there's a lot of things you can point to with the Chiefs falling off a cliff. But I think the biggest thing you can point to is the record in close games. And I think that the biggest thing you can point to describe and explain that is the red zone offense. And the biggest reason that I think that you can point to that being a problem is I don't think Andy is quite the same as what he has been in years past, and quite as creative and quite as innovative as what he has been in years past. I think it's time for Andy to step down, and it's time for the Chiefs to take a little bit of a gap year. Maybe that means getting rid of a couple contracts for picks, whatever it may be. I think this is an opportunity for the Chiefs to retool going forward. It should be, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to stay in one place for so long. Eagles fans know the thing with Andy as well. Right? Moving on from Andy Reid was the right decision, and it worked out for the Eagles, and it worked out for Andy Reid. I don't know if it works out for Andy Reid this time. Maybe it does, but maybe that's something the Chiefs need to consider. They definitely need to consider their roster construction, though. They've got to make some changes there if they want to be competitive moving forward. Brett Eclipse has a great comment here. Says, for a team that's made the AFC Championship for 7 straight years to lose the Super Bowl and immediately miss the playoffs the following year is crazy. You're welcome, the rest of the world. The Eagles went ahead and took care of the Chiefs' problem for you. But
we really did. We really did. But it's you can point to the roster construction. The reason that the roster construction worked is because of the 2021 and the 2022 drafts. In 2021, they drafted Nick Bolton and Creed Humphrey, both in the 2nd round, and they drafted Trey Smith in the 6th round. In 2020, that's an amazing draft class, by the way. In 2022, maybe just as good, if not even better in some ways, you draft McDuffie in the 1st round, Karlaftis also in the 1st round, Leo Chenal in the 3rd, Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th, who I think stinks, but whatever, he's played time for them. those two drafts are why they were able to keep it going past Tyreek Hill and into the Mahomes contract. It's because of the strength of those two draft classes. But you look since, you know, there's some hits in there, like Rashee Rice in the second round of 2023, albeit he's missed a lot of the time since then for, you know, various reasons. But you look at some of the other high picks, like Felix Anaduke Uzoma, has he made a big impact? Wanya Morris, he stinks. Xavier Worthy, he's at this point been very disappointing, I'd say. Kingsley Suamatia has not fixed the problems on that offensive line. Josh Simmons was a good pick this year, but after that, Omar Norman Lott didn't give you anything. Like, you just haven't really gotten anything out of these last couple draft classes if you're the Chiefs, besides the limited production that you have gotten from Rashee Rice when he has been out there. And I think that's another big kind of reason for this.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on from our eulogy of the Chiefs here. Let's go to the game of the early slate. It was Buffalo at New England. Buffalo ultimately wins the game 35-31, but they opened the game with 3 straight 3-and-outs, finding themselves down 21-0 in the second quarter. Then they scored a touchdown on 5 straight drives to take the lead and ultimately win the game. Buffalo only had 76 yards in the first half, and they had 273 yards in the second half. Josh Allen threw for 193 yards and 3 touchdowns while rushing for 48 yards. James Cook had 107 rushing yards with 2 touchdowns. He had a receiving touchdown. And the Patriots just fell apart on both sides of the ball in the second half. The offense in the second half went 3-and-out, interception, a 1-play 65-yard touchdown run, and then a 3-and-out and a 4-and-out. And by 4-and-out, I mean they went for it on 4th down and didn't get it. So the offense fell apart, the defense fell apart. Josh Allen went nuclear, whatever way you want to spin it. It went off the rails for the Patriots, and they lose. Now, they do still have a 1-game lead for the division. Travion Henderson had a good game, by the way, 148 yards and 2 touchdowns on 14 carries. But New England still has a 1-game lead in the division. They go Baltimore, the Jets, the Dolphins, while the Bills go Cleveland, Philly, Jets. So both teams have 2 easy games. Both teams have 1 more difficult game. And New England has that lead for the division right now. Also, last thing I'll mention, going into this game, New England had won 104 straight home games when they led by 21 or more. And that streak has been broken. Takeaways, Mark.
My biggest takeaway about this game, first of all, this isn't my biggest takeaway, but first of all, I feel like New England I think I saw they went from plus 370 to plus 700 in the odds to win the AFC after this game. I think that's wrong. I still think they're going to win the division. I guess you could argue their chance to win the 1 seed took a massive hit with them losing and Denver winning.
Yeah.
Still, I think there might be some value if the number I saw is correct out there, that you can get a 7-1 number on New England. I still think they're very much one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the AFC. But if you're making me, pick the AFC right now, and I have to pick the Super Bowl correctly of what it's going to be in February, I would have to say it's the Buffalo Bills, even coming from that 5 spot, which is where I think they'll be in the playoffs. If you're able to get the 5 seed, you're able to go, play in Pittsburgh or Baltimore in round 1, and you have to feel really good about that. If you're Buffalo, you win that game and you keep moving forward. You just beat New England in New England. I don't think you're afraid to go into Denver if you're Buffalo. So it's funny. This might be the worst Bills team of the last 5 years, but because of the AFC and what's become of it, maybe this is the one that gets it done. It's kind of funny that it could be that way.
Yeah, the AFC is definitely in a lot worse place than we've seen it in recent years. And Brett Eclipse pointing out that they're going to go into a playoff field without Mahomes and Burrow, maybe without Lamar. This has got to be the year for Buffalo. And I just don't trust Sean McDermott, but we'll see. Maybe they can get it done.
But the thing about the AFC is just you hate Bo Nix, So you don't trust Bo Nix with the? Maybe you've turned.
Maybe.
He played really well.
It might
he
it
played,
might it might
he
be
played
time it
really
might
well.
be time to make Denver the favorites in the AFC. Not
I
to
think
tip my hat for the afternoon slate, but
they are from
for
a
me
gambling.
is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Not yeah. Here, I'll just read this to you. We'll get there later, but from the Denver game, I said I have a big takeaway from this game, and it's that I'm in on the Broncos.
yeah.
Bo Nix has been the question for me, and I think it's fair to not fully trust him until he does it in the playoffs. But I mean, I trust him more than Sam Darnold at this point,
Yeah.
and some of those guys. So, and
There was a cut up of some of the throws Bo made yesterday, and man, he can make some big time throws. So
yeah,
it's but then it's the consistency. I mean, how many guys are like that? It's like Bo, Caleb. There's a couple guys like that. So I'm still skeptic. I thought Sean Payton. Well, I mean, we're like talking about that game already, but I thought Sean Payton was so incredible in that game. So I'm never gonna say that Denver.
yeah.
I'm not gonna count them out, but I still do think it's one of these teams. I still think it's Buffalo or New England. The fatal flaw. Everybody's got a fatal flaw in the AFC. I mean, with Denver, the fatal flaw is the offense in general, but is Bo, and if he can be good in the stretch, then they should probably win the conference. Buffalo, the fatal flaw is McDermott / the run D.
Yeah.
New England, the fatal flaw is this team's not that talented.
Right.
They have Drake May and Mike Vrabel. Houston, the O line, Jacksonville. Jacksonville's like the Bears. Like it's kind of like you look
Yeah.
at it and it's like, yeah, I get it, you're good, but like, are you that good? Like, so I don't think the Jacksonville is a real contender, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's gonna be one of those three teams. At this point, I feel pretty confident in saying it'll be Denver, Buffalo, or New England. I would still put Denver third.
I would think I would put Denver first. I think
That's fair. And then they are first in
Yeah.
the gambling odds.
I just think at this point I trust them the most. I think I would go Denver, Buffalo, New England.
And they're gonna have home field at this point. I think it's pretty
Yeah.
safe to say.
So, all right, Washington at the Giants. Washington wins 29-21 with a minute and 5 seconds left before halftime. The Giants punt. It gets returned for a touchdown. Then Jackson Dart throws an interception on the next drive that was returned to field goal range, and the Commanders hit the field goal right before half. So they did miss the extra point on the touchdown, so it was a 9-point swing at least. Not much noteworthy in this game. Abdul Carter finally had a good game. He has a strip sack, 3 tackles for loss, and then another forced fumble and recovery. So it took him a long time. Maybe getting benched twice is what it took, but Abdul Carter showed up for a game. But honestly, these two teams are in off-season mode at this point, so not a lot to talk about here. What do you want to add in?
Commanders are 4-10, and they're scheduled to pick 8th right now. There's 10 teams scheduled to finish or projected to finish with a win percentage of under 36%. Just a lot of really bad teams this year. The fact that Washington is the 8th worst team after this year is astounding. But yeah, this game is meaningless. The Giants are currently the first pick. I hope that they win a game. I do not want the Giants to finish with the first pick when they have a quarterback and they can just trade down with the dumb Jets or someone and pick up an extra first for the next couple of years. So my main interest in this game was the Giants winning. They did not, and that upset me.
Yeah, that Dennis Selman tweeted this out, talking about how many teams are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs with 3 weeks left to play. This year, the number is 13. It's the first time it's been over 9 since the NFL expanded the playoffs. It's been 6, 5, 5, 6, 9, and then this year it's 13. So your gut feeling there definitely backs you up. But,
and Dallas is pretty darn close from making that 14.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Jets at Jags. Jags win 48-20. Lawrence threw for 330 yards and 5 touchdowns. He also rushed for 51 yards and a touchdown against a Jets defense that fired their defensive coordinator after the game. This is the first time any quarterback has ever thrown for 5 touchdowns, rushed for a touchdown, and had 50 rushing yards in a game in NFL history. So, Trevor Lawrence, that'll be a Jeopardy question one day. You can thank us when you win your money there. The Jags now have a 1-game lead over the Texans with a big game against Denver next week. But then they get the Colts and the Titans to finish off the year. So they should win both of those. Any thoughts on this one?
Not great competition, but 3 straight incredible games for Trevor Lawrence. And I mean, he's on pace for a pretty similar season to, I guess maybe even, I guess pretty similar to both 2022 and 2023, maybe a little better in the touchdown department. So getting back to 2022, 2023 Trevor would be a good thing, especially the second half of 2022 and the first half of 2023. We've talked about that like 17, 18 game sample size before, and how if you took that out, the rest of his career has been absolutely terrible. He's changing that this year and changing that over the last 3 weeks. Liam Cohen, I think, is a demon. You know, you watch the play calls that they make, and people just get schemed open in that offense. Jacoby Myers has been huge, huge addition for the Jaguars. I kind of made fun of that move, and I think my tweet was the Jags think that there's 8 playoff teams or 9 playoff teams, and they're going to get in. Here they are. They might be the 2 seed. Like, they're 10-4 with a pretty easy schedule, I'm pretty sure, down the stretch here. So the Jags, things looking up in Duval.
That's where you are, right?
Yeah, I'm actually not even.
Got to go celebrate with the people.
Yeah. Usually when I'm telling people that I'm in an area, I'm usually like, oh, I'm actually in a suburb of that town. I am in Jacksonville, so I'm very much in Duval County. I was gonna overshare, but I'll not overshare.
Yeah, go ahead and give us your address and room number.
I was about to way overshare, but yeah, Duval,
yeah, I'd like to request a wake up call for 5 a.m.
I will say Duval is on everything here, like more than like most counties. You'll see like the name Duval is just on everything. People wear Duval shirts all around and hats and stuff. So Duval pride. So I get why Liam got tricked into saying Duval funnily into the mic.
Yeah. I have to, meanwhile, in Oklahoma, I have to Google what county I live in multiple times per year because I forget. But, you know, whatever. Let's keep rolling here to another bad game that we can.
I will say, though, people are jagged up down here. Like, I was in Dallas last week, and Dallas is a weird town to try to judge this in. But not a lot of Cowboys merch in general in Dallas at all. Like, way more Texas and Texas A&M merch, to be honest, than Cowboys merch. Everywhere I go, people are jagged up here. People have got Jags gear all over the place. Trevor jerseys, Trevor shirts, Jags hats all over the place down here. So people, you know, I feel like I've probably crapped on the Jags fan base in the past and made fun of them and said that they don't actually have a fan base. But hey, I might be corrected.
Yeah, you need to stay incognito. Somebody's going to recognize you.
Yeah.
All right, Arizona at Houston, bad game.
Talking about no fans. The Arizona Cardinals. That's a team I can make fun of for having no fans.
Yeah. 40-20. The Texans' defense was never the question mark, but the offense has been the question, and they took a step in the right direction. They scored on their first 5 drives before a blocked field goal ended that streak, and their only punt was in the fourth quarter. So they ran the ball to the tune of 4.3 yards per carry, and Stroud went 22 of 29 for 260 and 3 touchdowns. Trey McBride had a good game for the Cardinals, 12 for 134 with 2 touchdowns. This was his 16th consecutive game with 5 or more receptions, which is the most in NFL history for a tight end. My question, new fatal flaw for the Texans, Mark. Are they weak to tight ends? Is this the way you attack the defense?
Maybe.
If so, they do have a good stretch to work that out because they will face Brock Bowers, Oronde Gadsden, and Tyler Warren in their final 3 weeks of the season. So I guess we can test that theory. But anything you want to say on this one?
Jawar Jordan, 15 carries for 101 yards. Didn't have an NFL carry But before that one, I believe he was an undrafted free. I could be wrong. Was he drafted? And I'm missing. I believe he was undrafted, but a rookie this year, Jawar Jordan, 26-year-old rookie, and gets his first 15 carries, goes over 100 yards. Good for Jawar Jordan. I actually haven't put my waiver claims in the couple leagues that I'm still alive in. I have to check the Jordan rules out there, but. Nico Collins, the first touchdown of this game that he scored is one of the most pathetic touchdowns you will ever see a defense give up. Nico, like, high stepped for the last 40 yards, basically, like, with no one in the frame. He beat one guy, or someone might have even fell down, to be honest, early in the route, but nobody ran after Nico Collins to try to tackle him to save that play. It was an embarrassment. Houston has to be fourth, right? They have to be the fourth team in the AFC if you're ranking Denver, Buffalo, New England. I think they're better than anybody else.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And hey, you look at these last 8 or 9 games. KenPom is a college basketball site, Shane, and you would love if they had a site like this for football. You would adore it. But you can. I guess they probably do. It's DVOA basically for college basketball is what I would say.
Okay.
But you can also take time frames. So
Yeah.
I could say, let me take out the first 5 games and look at what's the best college basketball team since November 25th to take out the first couple weeks. And it spits out that DVOA for that time set. I swear, if you took out the Texans first, you could say 3 games, but yeah, let's just say 3 games. You take out their first 3 games, they're 9-2 since. I bet that they'd have the best DVOA of any team in football over the last 11 weeks potentially, or at least like a top 3, top 5 DVOA over the last 11 weeks. I mean, they are. I don't know if DVOA has that capability to be able to shrink that sample size, but that's but someone just asked me about the site. It's just KenPom. If you type in KenPom, it'll come right up, and you can pop right in there and mess around with it. But fun college basketball site. I wish the NFL had one like that.
Yeah, I know with DVOA there is a weekly DVOA, but it's not just a simple like average of them that makes the overall DVOA. It's weighted somehow towards recency, which makes it hard to figure out exactly how it works. But anyways, yeah. Sorry, I missed a little bit of that because I was going to put in a claim for Jordan in my fantasy league because I didn't think about that till you said it. But
Jawar Jordan, Louisville.
Yeah, since my whole team shot to crap anyways. But I digress. Let's keep rolling. To the afternoon slate, Green Bay at Denver. Denver wins 34-26, and we mentioned this game already, but the Packers scored a touchdown on their opening drive of the second half to take a 23-14 lead. And then they got a 3-and-out. And then Jordan Love threw a pick on the next play, and the Broncos would go on back-to-back touchdown drives after that on their way to their 11th straight win. And I already told you my first big takeaway from the game is that I'm in on the Broncos. I will have questions about Bo Nix, but I'm in, especially in the AFC. The other takeaway is that Jordan Love can't be trusted either. Like, we talk about trusting quarterbacks, but he started well in this game, but he threw 2 picks in the second half. He ended up only 24 of 40 passing. And it's worth mentioning that he did lose his right tackle and Christian Watson during the game, but still. I mean, one, stop relying on Christian Watson. He's never going to play a healthy season. And how many years of Jordan Love playing like this are we going to do this? Like, it's the same thing every year. He'll have some wow games, and then he turns in clunker games. There's just no consistency still. And then they also lose Micah Parsons to an ACL injury, which is particularly devastating. So Brett Eclipse asked, do we still view the Packers as contenders without both Micah and Kraft? I do not. Mark, you're shaking your head no as well.
No, Micah ends it. I think Micah's a kill shot to their season. I do think the offense point is a valid one to make. I bet Green Bay in this game. Incredibly frustrating. They go down 27. They kick a field goal to go down 27-26. Denver goes and scores a touchdown. You know my big gripe with this. They go up 7, and instead of going for 2 to go up 9, they kick an extra point, which leaves Green Bay in the game. Denver could have ended that game for all intents and purposes at that point of the fourth quarter. But they leave him in the game. What does Jordan Love do? Immediate interception on the second play from scrimmage of that drive. Next down comes. They get one first down before Jordan Love takes a bad sack and turns it over. It takes 2 sacks, actually, in that drive, turns it over on downs. And then, even after that, they get another chance because the Broncos on 4th and 1 at Green Bay's 37 with 1:12 seconds left, instead of kicking a field goal to go up 11 and end the game, instead of punting maybe, I guess you probably don't want to punt from the 37, but instead of all of that, they decide to try to go for it on 4th and 1. They don't get it, and they hand Green Bay the ball back on Green Bay's 38-yard line, and Green Bay has 1:12 seconds left to try to go score. And what happens? But Green Bay goes -5 yards on 4 plays. So Denver gave them multiple chances here at the end of the game. And even beyond that, the refs really gave Green Bay a lift in this game because it was 16-14 coming out of halftime. Green Bay goes 3 and out. And Riley Moss gets called for one of the ticky-tackiest PI calls you'll ever see. And there's a thread about it. I guess Riley Moss has like a bad whistle. People say like he gets called on PIs that are just not called on other DBs. I'll leave that alone and say I'll just say that right there. But he gets called for that next play before you can even freak out and send a tweet. If you're a Broncos fan, the Packers scored like a 50-yard touchdown or something like that on the next play. So it's the Broncos got a lift of, or the Packers got a lift of like an extra touchdown from what it should have been in that game, and it still didn't matter. So really, really impressive win for Denver. Really, really debilitating loss, both in just watching it and in the injury department for Green Bay.
Yeah. Good comment here from Brett Eclipse. Says Jordan Love is like Josh Allen, but if the Superman games were half as frequent.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, all right, let's keep moving along. We still got 6 games to go. We'll speed through a couple of these, though, but probably not this one. Detroit at the Rams. Rams win 41-34. The Rams trailed 24-17 at halftime, but came out guns blazing in the third quarter. They outgained the Lions 175 yards to 5, outscored them 17-0 to take control of the game. And this was a game of big receiver outputs. Puka Nacua, 9 receptions, 181 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 13 receptions, 164 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jamison Williams, 7 for 134 and a touchdown. Kyron Williams and Blake Corum combined for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns. But the Lions' run game got smothered. Jahmyr Gibbs, only 38 yards on 13 attempts. This sets up a Thursday night football matchup between the 11-3 Rams and the 11-3 Seahawks, which is going to be a great game. Devontae Adams probably going to miss that game with a hamstring injury, which hurts the Rams, but this should be a really good game. Other thing I'll mention is Kyron Williams joined Eric Dickerson, Marshall Faulk, and Steven Jackson as the only Rams players with 3 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Takeaways from this one, Mark.
Stafford won the MVP in this one with help from Puka, I would say. And ultimately, as long as the Bears lose one of their next 2 games and the Lions take care of business and beat the Steelers and Vikings, I don't really think that loss mattered for the Lions. I feel like you're going to see a lot of people crapping on the Lions after that game, and they gave up 41 and saying that it ends their season. I think I even heard someone kind of say that on a podcast. Realistically, it didn't really matter. I think no matter what, they're going to have to beat the Bears in Week 18. So if you're the Lions, you're rooting for Green Bay to beat Chicago, so that Week 18 game's a playoff game, I would say. But yeah, I'm not changing too much of what I think about either of these teams from this game, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, Carolina at New Orleans. New Orleans wins 20-17. New Orleans trailed 17-10 after turning it over on downs at the Carolina 23 with just under 7 minutes left. But they got a 3-and-out. They scored a touchdown. They forced a punt. and then they kicked a field goal to win the game. Now, unfortunately, that field goal was aided by egregious officiating. New Orleans calls a QB run with 12 seconds and no timeouts left. Tyler Shuck slides late, gets hit as he's sliding, gets the flag. It was flag baiting. Like, the whole offense was in on it. Nobody's trying to rush to the line to get set for a spike. Like, they legitimately drew that up to bait a flag, and that's gross. Like, that's the NFL's got to fix that. That can't be allowed to happen. Like, you can go watch the play. The guy's going to hit the quarterback before he starts to slide. It's a late slide. It's ridiculous to decide a game on that. Now, Carolina didn't play well enough to win, but it's just awful that that's how a game's being decided. And so, left a bad taste in my mouth. That's all I've got to say on that one.
Shuck me the money, Shane. You didn't give enough credit to Tyler Shuck. This guy's slinging it out there. It's 272 yards.
I mean, he's been far better than I
32.
expected, but
Me
I'm
too.
still mad at him for flag baiting on the last play.
No, I know. I'm just stunned he looks this competent
Yeah.
right away. And I think I was talking about this in a group chat I'm in, and I think Kellen Moore is excellent. I don't think we gave him enough credit last year while he was here. I don't think he got enough credit in the Dallas years with how good those offenses were, especially at running the ball in his years in Dallas. And then in New Orleans, I mean, they've really only been blown out, like, depends what you want to call a blowout, but like 3 or 4 times. If you look at it, they've been really competitive. And I think Shuck has is he like 3-2 as a starter, I heard, or something like that now? Yeah, they've won Shuck is 3-2 as a starter. And I mean, he's beaten the Panthers twice and the Bucks, so it's not like he's beaten world beaters, but it's not like he's beaten 2-win teams either. Both teams are 7-7, so good for Tyler Shuck. The only thing is he's kind of hurting. He's hurting the Saints' chances at getting a top pick here.
That they might use to replace him, so good for him.
I don't think so. I think he's been far too good as a second round pick for them to even think about quarterback. And they have the 7th pick right now, so you can still get a good player. But if you're in New Orleans, I think you roll with Shuck, and I think he's shown more than we've seen other guys get year 2s showing less than what Shuck has shown. And if you're the Saints, you can go out and get Arvell Reese or Caleb Downs or Jeremiah Love or Spencer Fano or whoever you want to say the blue chip guy is. I think that the Saints aren't in as bad of a spot as I thought they were when they hired Kellen Moore.
I think they're still in a pretty bad spot, but they've done better than I expected this year.
Yeah, I guess they don't have a ton of building blocks, but it's just if Shuck is competent and Kellen Moore's a good coach, which I think he is, it does. You're able to start putting some pieces together. They have a ton of cap space. You have a high pick. I do think things are looking up there. Maybe I'm overstating things, though.
Yeah. All right. Tennessee at San Francisco. San Fran wins 37-24. Brock Purdy goes 22 of 30 for 295 and 3 touchdowns. He also rushed for 44 yards and ball faked at a linebacker 10 yards downfield as he went out of bounds, which was kind of funny to watch. Jeffrey Simmons was the story of this game for the Titans. He strip sacks Brock Purdy in the 4th quarter, and then 2 plays later, he catches a touchdown pass. But he doesn't just catch a touchdown pass. It's on a scramble drill where he works back to the middle of the field. So they need to maybe Jeffrey Simmons, just a 2-way player. Get him out there. Cam Ward needs some guys to throw the football to. Ward goes 18-29 for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is a good-looking box score. I will mention there were a couple dropped interceptions, though, so not quite as good as the box score looks overall. Anything you take away from this one?
This isn't really a takeaway from this game as much as something that I feel like I've given San Fran a lot of credit, I think, all year. And I've talked about how scary they could be in the playoffs if you have healthy Purdy and McCaffrey and Kittle and O-line all healthy. I feel like I'm tied to the train tracks, and the 49ers Super Bowl train is I see it coming. They're gonna win the Super Bowl. and I hate that I'm saying this, and I hate that I'm putting it into the universe, but I think they're going to beat the Eagles in round one if we face them. And then they also have like some weird demon magic against McVay also. I'm officially scared that the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl. And I know that sounds crazy. I get made fun of in the one group chat I'm in about that, and they think I'm crazy. You look around, and there's not many teams I take that much more seriously than them, just off the strength of those names on offense and Kyle Shanahan. And maybe that's giving too much credit to Kyle, but I trust them more than I trust Seattle. I trust them more than I trust us as of now. I trust them more than I trust. I'm missing any of the NFC North teams. Whoever you want to throw at me in the NFC North, I'd like them more. It comes down to like the Rams, who I think are better. The Rams are better. This would just be like they have a weird thing on the Rams and do well against them type deal. But I'm afraid.
I'll see. I'll think about that. I'll have to get back to you.
And it sounds crazy with no Bosa and no Warner, but I just think if Salah,
that's where I think the defense is going to be the problem.
it is. That is what would if they don't make noise in the playoffs, it's because they gave up a lot of points in a game. I think Salah's going to be able to do enough with smoke and mirrors to kind of get you there to the point where the offense can go win the game with 30 points.
Yeah. All right, well, let's close this out. We've got 3 games left here. Indy at Seattle. Seattle won this game 18-16. And
someone said I have the Niners as my Super Bowl pick. You heard it here first. If you made me make a pick, I'm picking the Rams. But I just feel like there's value. I don't know. I haven't looked today at what the odds are. I think there's value in betting the Niners to win the Super Bowl or win the NFC, whatever you want to say. And I feel like people are not taking. Maybe I should more so, instead of saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, I should more just say people are not taking them seriously enough as a contender.
They are plus 2,200 right now.
I knew it was a high number. I actually thought it was more like 25. I wish I would have bet it last week because I was talking about this last week.
So teams that are above them: Jags at plus 1,600. I would take them over the Jags. Packers plus 1,500. I would take them over the Packers.
Agree.
Patriots plus 1,500. I would take them over the Patriots.
Agree.
Then you get to Eagles, Texans, Bills, Broncos, Seahawks, Rams.
I would take them over the Eagles and Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks are all the way up at plus 650.
It's because they still have a chance at the 1 seed.
Yeah, which we're about to talk about the Seahawks. So segue back into it. This is the third time in the last 5 games that Sam Darnold hasn't thrown a touchdown pass. It's the second straight week they only scored 6 points in the first half. They have no run game, 22 carries for 50 yards. Darnold is starting to show cracks again as teams are just saying, hey, you're going to have to beat us through the air. And Darnold's falling apart just like he did last year. And maybe that's not fair, but he's going to have to prove to me he can do it in the playoffs or in big games before I take him seriously. And I almost got sucked in, but I'm back to being a pretty big Seahawks doubter because of the quarterback. I think the defense is awesome. JSN's awesome, but got major concerns about the quarterback, as I did, all along. And then on the Indy side, Grandpa Phillip Rivers also didn't look very good. He ends the game with a touchdown and interception. He couldn't push the ball downfield at all. He was 2 of 8 on throws of 10-plus air yards. He's got no zip in the arm, which is kind of what you expected, but it was a cool social experiment to see at least.
It was so fun. This was so fun watching Phil go out there and sling it with his little arm passes that he used to make, but he's got no zip behind it now. No, it was a blast. I hope they keep doing it. But Seattle, I mean, the easiest way I can word it is Seattle plays the Rams on Thursday night. It's a huge game. I've been talking for weeks about how I like Seattle in that game on this podcast, on my show, and I've been saying Seattle matched up really well with LA. In LA, they only lost because Darnold threw all those picks. But even with the Rams injuries that they just picked up in last game, I find it hard to have any confidence in Seattle's offense right now. And it's more than just Darnold at this point. The biggest reason that the offense was horrible in this game was the run game. It was absolutely dreadful. They had 22 carries for 50 yards, 2.3 yards per carry in this game, and there was points where the Colts just completely sold out for the pass. You're able to completely just not worry about the run whatsoever because it was so horrible in this game for Seattle. So Darnold actually ended with 22 or 36, 271 yards. That's better than it felt though in this game because that the only way they were able to move the ball forward at all was throwing the ball. I have serious concerns about Seattle's offense, and if you look at the run game over the last couple weeks, it's not. I don't think this is an isolated incident. Even against Atlanta last week, I guess that Velus Jones went 4 carries for 32 yards, which helps out. But Kenneth Walker 10 carries for 29 yards in that game, and even before that in the game against Minnesota, neither guy got more than 13 carries or more than 56 yards. Like the run game has really died, and with Darnold, I'd say you need like a solid run game is going to get you 4.5 yards per carry.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Sunday Night Football. Minnesota beats Dallas 34-26. Dallas had to kick too many field goals, and Brandon Aubrey actually missed 2 of them because the Cowboys were only 2 of 12 on third downs. J.J. McCarthy was intercepted on his first pass of the day, which it was tipped at the line of scrimmage back towards him, and he jumped to like try to swat it down and ended up batting it towards Quinnen Williams, who intercepted it, which was kind of a funny play. You can go look that one up. After that, he was 15 of 23 for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. So not a bad game, but Justin Jefferson only had 2 catches for 22 yards on 8 targets. Justin Jefferson only has 832 yards and 2 touchdowns this entire season. So, I mean, you talk about trying to figure things out, and he's clearly, a franchise cornerstone piece, but they just drafted this quarterback, and they can't seem to get on the same page, and that's problematic. But as bad as, the A.J. Brown stuff has been this year for the Eagles, he has more yards than Justin Jefferson right now, and he's got 7 touchdowns compared to Jefferson's 2. So it's been a rough stretch for Justin Jefferson. And now the Cowboys have to win out and hope the Eagles lose out to make the playoffs. So not fully eliminated, but basically.
Yeah, I'm happy with myself that I never allowed myself to get nervous with the Cowboys. They were always fake. But even I was floored that they lost this game. Dallas was only a 5.5-point favorite in this game, which I thought was too low. I thought they should have been like an 8-9-point favorite. I thought there was no chance they were going to lose. Threw them in parlays to finish out parlays, and that's what I get for trusting the Dallas Cowboys and betting on the Dallas Cowboys. They ruined it at the end of Sunday. But betting on the Cowboys is a very, very win-win proposition for me because either I win money or I get to make fun of the Cowboys. So it's all. I actually enjoy betting on the Cowboys more than maybe any other team in sports for that reason. So I was shocked. I'm shocked. Getting a J.J. McCarthy-led offense scoring 34 points is not something I thought could happen in 2025.
Yeah. Same. Pretty poor defensive effort by the Cowboys, and that's been their struggle. I mean, that's been their struggle all season long. Is just they do not have a good defense.
And Micah Parsons going down, how badly, if the Cowboys won this game, how quickly in the postgame would Jerry Jones have bragged about not paying Micah Parsons since he got hurt? Like, if they won this game, they'd be like, well, Quinnen Williams doesn't have a torn ACL. Looks like we made the right call. But he can't do that because
he intercepted a pass.
Yeah. He let J.J. McCarthy score 34, so he unfortunately could not come out in victory lap Micah Parsons' ACL injury, but I truly think he would have if they won this game.
Probably. So, okay, last game of the week, Monday Night Football, Miami at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh wins 28-15, and following a bad stretch of play, Aaron Rodgers seems to be getting on track. He played well against the Ravens last week. He was at his best on Monday Night Football. He goes 23 of 27 for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I mean, the Dolphins aren't good, but they had won 4 straight games. Tua was 6 of 10 passing for 65 yards with an interception and 2 sacks through the first 3 quarters of the game before stat padding down 28-3 in the fourth quarter. So really bad Tua game through 3 quarters. It was 7-3 at halftime. In the third quarter, the Steelers gained 162 yards. The Dolphins had negative 20 yards. I have never seen something like that in a quarter before. Kenny Gainwell was 13 for 80 on the ground. He had 7 receptions for 46 yards through the air. And then other fun fact, the Steelers had 2 rushing touchdowns by tight ends in this game. One for Connor Hayward and one for Jonnu Smith. That is something that's never happened in an NFL game before. So Steelers making history here with tight end rushing touchdowns. What are your thoughts on this one, Mark?
I am a moron who bet on the Dolphins in this game, and that's what I have to say. And the moment the Dolphins went down 21-3, I just had to look in the mirror and say, you know what? You might be washed, to myself, because I was very confident. This is one of my favorite bets of the week, was that the Dolphins would hang tough in this game, and I actually thought they might win the game. And they got absolutely embarrassed. Betting on Tua in the cold, I should have my gambling apps taken away from me. And that's my thoughts on the game. Pittsburgh, I don't know what to say. I don't believe you. I don't buy that this is real, Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. I have Steelers friends in my life who are yelling at me every week that they win and telling me that this is actually a way better Steelers team than the last couple of years. I think it's the exact same Steelers team it is every single year, personally.
Yeah, with maybe a worse defense.
Definitely, yeah.
Better quarterback, though. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
So, and that's going to do it for this week's slate. Final thoughts. Mark, I'll throw this question out here for final thoughts. Brett Eclipse asked, did Mike McDaniel do enough to save his job for next year? I think they should keep him.
Yeah.
They got to get rid of Tua, though. Like, Tua has to be gone. And I don't know where they go for an answer, but it can't be Tua.
Yeah, they can't get out of Tua's deal, I think, until after next year, from what I saw online. So I think that you might have to just maybe bring him back and have him be the backup. They were talking about potentially benching him. McDaniel gave some quotes today that made it seem like they might bench Tua down the stretch. So if that happens, even if he's on the roster next year, I think you'd have to make him the backup, I would think. So, but yeah, I've been pretty adamant. I do not think you can fire McDaniel. I think the fact that they played themselves back into a spot where last night was an important game, he should get more credit than blame for that.
Yeah, it looks like Tua has $99 million of dead cap on his contract left after this year. So it would actually cost the Dolphins $42 million more against the cap to get rid of him than to keep him. So he'll probably be there, but they gotta move on. So
yeah.
All right. Any other final thoughts you want to throw out there, Mark, before we get going?
My final thought, 3 of my top. I did an early deep dive, Shane. I know you'll love to hear this, into trying to put together some early rankings for some NFL draft stuff, just to get an idea down the stretch going into the playoff. I usually like to do this. I guess I should say in the last 2 years I've liked to do this in the 12-team playoff, just to get an idea of how many guys in my first round at this point are playing in the playoffs. 3 of my top 4 guys are from Ohio State. That's up right now, just to give you an idea of how good Ohio State is, in my opinion, even though they just lost in the Big Ten Championship.
Yeah. All right. Brett Eclipse said maybe I'm stretching the stream too long, and this should be an end-of-the-season question, but what's a take you've had that has aged the worst this year?
I
would have to think about it some more, but 2 that stick out is declaring the Chargers dead when Rashawn Slater got hurt in the preseason, and continuing to think the Chiefs would figure it out for as long as I did. But I'd have to think some more. I could probably come up with something worse than either of those if I think about
Yeah.
it some more.
I don't even think, but even like the Chargers, like we didn't say they couldn't be a wild card team.
That's
Like,
true. I guess that was contender.
yeah, and I still don't think they are. So, the Chiefs thing too, like if we did it the other way and then they came back, we would have felt even dumber. So,
Oh, I know what it is. I thought the Raiders would be an entertaining
Yeah.
football team this year with Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, Geno Smith, Chip Kelly. I thought that might be a fun offense. That's
I picked them to
the
go to the
worst
wild
take
card.
I've had in several years.
I picked them to go to the wild card. I also picked the Commanders to get to a wild card in the NFC. So those are my two bad ones. I like the Jets to be competitive. I did back off that when they had O-line injuries in the summer. Even if those guys weren't hurt, they wouldn't have been competitive. So it was wrong either way. But the Raiders and the Commanders, really bad calls. My best calls, just because I have to give the opposite end of it. I only bet one NFL future or one NFL win total this season, and it was Arizona Cardinals under 8.5 wins. I was gobsmacked that number was 8.5 and not 6.5 or 7.5. So instead of betting a bunch of different ones, I put all the money I would put on 4 or 5 bets, all on Cardinals under 8.5, and that cashed in like week 11 or week 12. So that was a nice one.
There you go. So there you go. Good questions as always from Brett Eclipse. And thank you everybody who joined us live for episode 216 of Chalk Talk. Those of you listening back later, we appreciate you as well. If you enjoy what you heard on the show, and we know that you do, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next episode. Drop us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at Shane Half NFL. He is at Mark Henry Jr. NFL. And we will catch you guys next time.